Rev up your engines!
Well, for you Camaro fans are worried because they seem like they're not going to be building them for very much longer. Turns out that the Chevy Camaro may be replaced by an electric performance sedan. They don't sell that many Camaros anyway. It's a fading away thing. I mean, Mustang has beat them for years, and Mustang's the only car that Ford makes anymore. Everything else is SUVs or trucks, so they're kind of fading away anyways, and sports cars aren't that big of a thing anymore. But I would be real leery about buying an electric GM car with their fiasco with the stuff that they've made so far. If they made a performance one, I don't know. I think it'd probably have more glitches than the Teslas have in them. Now, GM already is hoping to bring out a electric Chevy Silverado by 2023. Who knows if that's going to happen? And the electric Cadillac Escalade's supposed to be 2024. But of course, they're still making the gasoline models now. Now, GM says that it's dedicated $35 billion to the development of electronic and autonomous vehicles through 2025. Yeah, dedicated. What does that mean? That's just like if you look at an investment portfolio, it always says at the bottom, these are forward-facing predictions. You know, that might not be true. You might lose all your money if you buy the stock. Same kind of thing, you know. Dedicated $35 billion. It's like something the government would say, you know. GM, they're hoping to have 20 electric vehicles on sale in the next 5 years, but I mean, I'm not holding my breath on that either. And as GM said, their goal is to sell only electric vehicles by 2035, right? That's a long time from now. But GM also made it clear that it's just a goal, not a commitment. That's what they said. It's a goal, but it's not a commitment. What the heck do these words mean? It's not a goal, it's a commitment. The $35 billion is dedicated $35 billion, whatever that means, you know? We got double speed going on here at GM. But me, I'd never buy a GM electric vehicle unless they've been out for 5-6 years and they proved themselves to actually work and be good value for your money. I just find it absolutely hilarious myself. They certainly have a lot of lawyers at GM. Maybe they should fire some of their lawyers and hire better engineers. Yusuf says, Scotty, is the new Nissan Sentra any good? They recently installed a new third-generation CVT, but I don't know if it's good. I was looking to buying a car, by the way. Never, ever buy a brand new car. It's a waste of money anyways, but never buy a new car that's got a new design on it, with a new CVT generation on it. You wait. 4 or 5 years later, if they don't have problems, yeah, you get a better price buying it used, and you know, that's tried and true. You never know with new designs. You can't tell anything with the new design until it's been out for years. Even if it was a new design Toyota, I'd say, wait, let's see how it holds up after 5 or 6 years. Don't go out buying anything new, and I don't trust Nissan Jatco transmissions anyway. They've had too many problems. Skies Blue says, Scotty, I'm 18. I want to save up $30 grand for a 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass 442. How did people drive it back in the day to keep the thing from rusting over? Well, you know what they did? They didn't drive it in the winter when there's salt on the road. They store it in the garage. I just made a video the other day with an Oldsmobile Cutlass. It was a 71. It didn't have the 442. It still had the stock 2-barrel carburetor, but it was beautiful. No rust. It was a barn find. The guy found it in a barn. Been sitting there for 20 years. There's no rust on it. He lives in Michigan. You know what he does in the winter? He's got a heated barn himself that he parks in. He doesn't drive it when they salt the roads. That's how you keep it from rusting. Those old cars were rust buckets. They weren't treated very well. They didn't use the zinc primers they use today. So you get one, you got to store it. They're nice cars. You want to have a collector's item? Why not? But my advice, don't drive that sucker in the winter if there's salt on the road. It's going to eat it up, and then there goes your investment down the toilet. And if you are looking to buy one, make sure you have a mechanic like me check it. If there's any rust, you don't buy it or you pay a lot less for it. They can hide it in a lot of places. A good mechanic with a hammer and a magnet can figure it out. RJ said, I found a used 2016 Mazda 6 11K with 130,000 miles. Owner says just low on coolant. What should I look for? I want to drive it 300,000 to 400,000 miles. Don't buy it. Something's low on coolant. There's a reason. Who knows what the problem is? Could be the head gasket's going. Could be lots of problems. Don't buy it. One, it's overpriced. 130,000 miles for $11,000. It's low on coolant. The guy's an idiot. He should have just filled it up with coolant and not tell you. Walk away. There's plenty of good used cars. Do not buy that car. You never know what's wrong. Anytime a car has a coolant problem, don't buy it as a used vehicle. You own one already, you fix it, right? But there's so many possibilities. Don't buy one that's losing coolant. Look for something else. Freezy Box said, are Alfa Romeos good or bad luxury cars? Well, first of all, they're not luxury cars, they're sports cars. And second of all, they're horrendous Italian piles of junk. They always have been. They are just over-engineered piles of stinking junk. They cost a fortune to fix, and they're not cheap. They used to be not too bad, but they're outrageously expensive now. The parts are super expensive. They just brought them back in the United States because Fiat bought Chrysler, and they thought they could sell them. They pulled out of the United States, Alfa, decades ago, and then they came back back. They'll probably end up pulling it out again. I mean, Stellantis owns them now and they're trying to sell them. Terrible cars. Only a fool would buy an Alfa. Yeah, they're fun and zippy, but they don't last long like most Italian Ducatis, Ferraris. They don't hold up. They're zippy, they're fun to drive, but they're a waste of your money and they have zero resale value too. So if you really have to get one, get a used one cheap if a mechanic says it's still running okay, and don't pay much for it. Yodessa says, the needle on my tachometer in my 97 240 Nissan SX started jumping around. The auto's fine, just the needle. What's wrong? Thanks. Okay, well I can just about guarantee you, tachometer's starting to break down. That's an old car. It's a 97. It's ancient, and that's what happens. Then eventually it'll stop working entirely. Those cost a fortune. Try to find a factory one, yada yada. You can get a nice aftermarket tachometer like the race guys do. You can mount it on your steering column or mount it on the dash, wherever you want. Cost you $40-50. It'll work perfectly fine. It's bigger. You can actually see it better, and they come with different color lighting. They're kind of fun. So if you want to keep a tach, I'd say just go buy an aftermarket one. It takes 5 minutes to hook it up. They come with the directions in the box. And if you get confused, watch a YouTube video. Plenty of guys show you how to hook those things up. German V says, is an air oil separator good or better than the oil catch can? Can I use it in my Honda Ridgeline 2021? An oil catch can separates the oil from the air. It's just another name for the same thing. And if you buy a quality one, you buy one that's $60 to $100, they work quite well. You buy a cheap one, you're asking for troubles. They might not work. They might change the EGR flow, turn on your check engine light. But the good ones work perfectly fine as long as you remember to check it every once in a while. And as the can gets the oil in it, then just dump the oil out. And if there's oil missing in your engine, then add new oil to it. Aiden Ducker says, Scotty, what's your favorite Breaking Bad BCS character? I'm going to guess Saul or Mike. Well, you guessed right. I'd say Mike. I like Mike. You know, he's a mysterious character. He's older like me, but he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to handle himself. So, yeah, I'd say Mike. It's an interesting character. The guy does a very good job at it. Well-written series, I got to say. They're enjoyable, you know. Of course, they're always a little bit out there. Everything they do in New Mexico is a little bit out there, and that's why they film it. But, yeah, I agree with that one. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not a fan of lawyers, so. Well, you know, it was only a matter of time. They're now planning on three-wheeled electric cars. A Canadian company called Extreme Vehicle Battery Tech announced that they're going to have three-wheeled cars called the Ionix Pro trilogy. They say they're going to have a fully functional prototype ready next year. Well, you know how that stuff goes. Years ago, I did a thing with the prototype three-wheeled Elio car, which was never actually produced and probably never will be produced. I had leased the old factory that made Hummers in Louisiana, and they sold off a bunch of the equipment inside to keep themselves going. They'd never actually built a production car. They probably never will. Three-wheeled cars. They kind of look cool, but they're small wheelbase. You know, they ride like crap. You can only fit a certain amount of people in them, so who knows? They always have to make one of everything, so now they're planning on a three-wheel electric car, too. Of course, they do way less. They'd have a decent range. Design that everybody understands. Now you have two wheels in the front and one wheel in the back. You don't have one wheel in the front, two wheel in the back. It'll be like one of those Benny Hill things where they flip over when you take a corner because they're not stable that way. Two wheels in the front, one wheel in the back. But I don't know if they're ever going to make the thing. They claim that's going to have a top speed of 85 miles an hour and can go about 185 miles on one charge. And then it can be charged in less than an hour. And it's not going to be that expensive. They say it's going to start at 20 grand. But of course, that's their cheapy one. They're planning the Trilogy version X. They can go to 0 to 60 miles an hour in 1.8 seconds, which is insane speed, and has a range of 300 miles and 5G connectivity and all that stuff. The only problem is the price of that thing's going to be $150,000. Not 20,000. So people come up with these weird ideas, and most of them fail miserably. Checked out years ago, there was a Canadian company that made three-wheeled cars that had BMW motors or Harley Davidson motors on it, and it's gone bankrupt now. It was around for a while, but they didn't make that many of them, and it's gone bankrupt. So I don't foresee much of this three-wheeled stuff. It never passed the mustard in mass production, and I don't think it ever will. You're so much safer on four wheels, stability-wise, and then you got actual room for passengers front and back. This is just kind of like a passing phase as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it's ever going to do anything in mass production. But they claim they're going to have a fully functional prototype next year. Like the Elio company, people invested a lot of money and now it's worth nothing practically. So I'd watch it on these things. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.